Hello, and welcome to the City of Brantford's virtual Public Information Center for the Mohawk Lake and Canal Cleanup and Rehabilitation Project. We will refer to it as the project for the rest of the presentation. The focus of today's presentation is on the design update of the Shallow Creek Park and West Canal elements. We encourage you to view this presentation and feel free to pause and read the slides for more details. A PDF copy of this presentation is also available on the project webpage should you wish to review it without narration. As you go through this presentation, you may find that you have questions, comments, or suggestions regarding this project that you would like to share with the study team. At the end of this presentation, you will find information on how to submit questions, comments, or suggestions. This presentation will provide an overview of the study, review the highest priority measures being advanced to construction, and the proposed design of works in Shallow Creek Park and West Mohawk Canal. Review design, landscaping, and restoration plans. Outline the next steps in the design and construction process. Identify how we can hear from you. Mohawk Lake was constructed in the 1800s as part of a canal system to provide access for barges traveling through Brantford. In the early 1900s, the lake and surrounding parkland provided community residents with recreational opportunities and today continues to offer valuable natural heritage. For decades, concern has been expressed about the deteriorating environmental conditions in the lake and canal. The Mohawk Lake and Canal Cleanup and Rehabilitation Project was initiated in response to these concerns. Through the project, the city intends to improve the environmental conditions and water quality of Mohawk Lake and Mohawk Canal. The images on this slide are postcards of Mohawk Lake at Mohawk Park, Brantford, Canada, showing a dock and a viewing point pergola extending into the lake. The purpose of the project is to consider ways we can improve the environmental quality of Mohawk Lake and Canal by providing improved aquatic and wildlife habitat, protection and interpretation of natural heritage resources, recreational opportunities. The map shown identifies the project's study area, which is located in the southwest corner of Brantford, with the Grand River, Mohawk Canal, and Mohawk Lake located along the south boundary. This diagram illustrates the three phases to this project which had ongoing consultation at each phase. Phase 1 includes a characterization study which was performed in 2018 to 2019. Phase 2 was comprised of a sub-watershed stormwater plan, environmental assessment, and Mohawk Lake master plan and completed in 2020. The final and current stage is Phase 3. Phase 3 is the implementation phase, which includes design and construction, land use planning, and long-term community engagement. The video you are watching now is the Virtual Public Information Center for the design update of the Shallow Creek Park and West Canal elements. The city considered different alternatives to address identified challenges and evaluated these alternatives to reach preferred alternatives. One of the preferred alternatives is oil grit separator retrofits. The upper left image is of an oil grit separator, which resembles a circular concrete cylinder with connections for pipes and a deep sump pit to trap sediment. In December 2020, 3 oil grit separator retrofits were constructed to treat storm sewer contaminants upstream of the lake. The upper right image is an aerial map that shows where these oil grit separator retrofits were constructed, namely Alfred Street, Mary Street, and Forest Road. The image at the bottom, another aerial map, highlights 2 areas, circled in red, of the retrofits in Shallow Creek Park and West Mohawk Canal. These are additions to pre-existing infrastructure and are currently being designed. Previous work to identify actions to support the overall goal of long-term rehabilitation of Mohawk Lake resulted in a preferred alternative to promote stormwater quality by settling of sediments upstream of Mohawk Lake. The map shows Mohawk Lake circled in red, and arrows point to Shallow Creek Park and Upper West Mohawk Canal. Shallow Creek Park is the first priority area. The aerial view of the map shows Shallow Creek Park circled in red. For this area, it is proposed that a wet pond with a permanent pool be constructed. Low flow from the upstream drainage would be diverted to the pond for water quality treatment. Holding water in the pond will allow sediments to settle out of the water prior to flowing into Mohawk Lake. West Mohawk Canal is the second priority area. The aerial map shows West Mohawk Canal circled in red. For this area, it is proposed that the canal be deepened with constructed berms to trap sediment for water quality treatment. To support the work, the city conducted 5 types of supporting studies as part of the design phase. These studies are the Water Resources Study, which mapped the floodplain of Shallow Creek; the Geotechnical Environmental Hydrogeology Study, which evaluated the soils, contaminants, and groundwater levels; the Natural Environment Study, which included a tree inventory as well as a terrestrial and aquatic ecology assessment; the Structural Engineering Study, which explored the conditions of retaining walls, culverts, and pedestrian bridges; and finally the Fluvial Geomorphology Study, which examined the creek's form and erosion potential. There are several site constraints that have to be considered in developing a design. These include legacy soil contamination issues in Shallow Creek Park, the need for an impermeable liner to isolate works from affected soils and avoid groundwater impacts, the need for erosion control along the creek channel. The photo on the left shows the need for more stone abutments along the stream bank, and replacement of gabion baskets and wooden boards along West Mohawk Canal and the adjacent towpath trail. The photos on the right show the towpath trail. A towpath is a historical path for the horses that towed the boats and barges in the canal. As mentioned earlier, the city considered several alternatives. The design for these alternatives were evaluated in collaboration with a technical advisory group. These alternatives and the evaluation considered work completed and site constraints. The evaluation focused on advancing measures that maximize the water quality benefit to Mohawk Lake downstream. Preferred design alternatives were selected based on the preceding assessment, balanced against local impacts such as social and environmental impacts and other factors, including cost. The next few slides present the preferred alternatives. The first preferred alternative is the Shallow Creek Park Retrofit. The figure here presents a drawing of the planned wet pond stormwater management feature. It is an oblong pond running parallel to the existing walkway. There is a buffer of 2 meters from the walkway, and there is a stormwater facility outlet pipe from the pond to Shallow Creek. Existing trees will be protected during construction. Currently, there are no planned tree removals, but this will be reviewed as the design advances. There is an inline control structure in the creek, which will work in combination with a low-flow diversion pipe to direct flow to the stormwater facility for treatment, while allowing high-flow events to continue to flow downstream in the creek. Reconstruction of existing retaining walls upstream of the retrofit will be addressed as part of a separate future study. Channel rehabilitation works will occur in tandem with the primary pond works. There is an existing playground that will remain. There will be a new maintenance walkway provided around the perimeter of the pond. Building on the figure of the wet pond, this drawing presents the proposed landscaping. Deciduous and coniferous trees, shrubs, and native emergent species will be installed along the perimeter of the pond. Potential future works may include a pollinator garden as well as public picnic tables or benches along the walkway. There are several benefits of the Shallow Creek Park retrofit. It is located in an optimal location for water quality treatment at most upstream locations relative to Mohawk Lake. It provides treatment for part of the Mohawk Lake watershed catchment area that currently receives no water quality treatment. It minimizes disturbance to the creek and trees to the extent possible. It includes construction of a new trail feature around the pond perimeter, making a complete loop. It includes enhanced park landscaping and restoration. And it ensures consideration and safety for the adjacent playground area. The next preferred alternative is the West Canal retrofit between the pedestrian bridge and Alfred Street. The figure here presents a drawing of the planned retrofit along Greenwich Street. The existing canal will be deepened with a constructed berm to trap sediments. The existing towpath will be reconstructed. The construction will require the removal of 8 trees. Building on the figure of the constructed berms, this drawing presents the proposed landscaping. Deciduous trees, coniferous trees, shrubs, and native emergent species are to be installed along the perimeter of the pond. The figure identifies the locations of the existing 8 trees that will be removed. Approximately 30 replacement trees are proposed. To provide further detail, this figure presents the West Canal retrofit east of the corner of Alfred Street and Greenwich Street. In this area, the canal will be deepened with constructed berms to help trap sediment. There is a recommendation that the Alfred Street culvert be upgraded as part of a future study. 6 trees will be removed. Moving east along the West Canal retrofit, this figure presents the area near Murray Street. Work in this area involves deepening the canal with constructed berms to trap sediment. This figure identifies the location of the proposed maintenance access road from Riddles Avenue, which will match the grades at Shallow Creek Park Trail. Building on the figure of the constructed berms, this drawing presents the proposed landscaping between Alfred and Murray Streets. The majority of the existing trees and canopy would remain. A total of 6 existing trees would require removal. The drawing shows the proposed landscaping works including deciduous trees and shrubs. A total of 28 replacement trees are proposed in this section. There are several benefits to the West Canal retrofit. This is the next location downstream of Shallow Creek and upstream of Mohawk Lake and offers the greatest overall benefit after Shallow Creek. It proposes similar aesthetics to existing conditions with enhanced landscaping. It includes a recommendation for the restoration of the towpath, which is part of the cultural heritage system. It provides the city with maintenance access via Greenwich Street for future cleanout to minimize disturbances. And it also provides maintenance access via Riddles Avenue for future cleanout and to maintain the existing trail crossing. This virtual presentation is an important step in the city's process. Hearing from you to finalize the design is important. The city is seeking feedback within 2 weeks of posting the presentation, and on the next slide we will share how to provide this feedback. After receiving the feedback and updating the design, the city plans to submit the final design and permitting for approvals in the 3rd quarter of 2022. The budget review and confirmation of preferred project to advance to construction is anticipated for the 3rd quarter of 2022. If approvals are received as anticipated, the city expects to issue the project for construction tender such that the construction startup can occur in the 4th quarter of 2022 or the 1st quarter of 2023. The timing of startup may be affected by permitting restrictions on creek works. If you would like to share any feedback, please use the comment form available on the project webpage. Alternatively, you can send your comments to the city's project manager, Nahed Gibbon, via email at nghbn@brantford.ca or telephone at 519-759-4150, extension 5262. The city's engineering consultant for this project is Wood Environment and Infrastructure Solutions. The consultant's contact is Matt Sr., who can be reached by telephone at 905-335-2353 or via email at matt.senior@woodplc.com. Thank you for your participation. This concludes our presentation. We would like to thank you for viewing this presentation.